What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into a mailbag edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. I'm answering questions that came in during our live show, which airs every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So come hang out with us next Monday if you have a question you would like to ask. Our first question coming in via Super Chat from Joshua Miller, and it's more of just a sentiment, an opinion than a question, but it's something that I think a lot of people are feeling right now. And the nuts and bolts of it is Deshaun Watson is a $230 million quarterback that should be able to overcome some of these issues. And I get that feeling, right? But I think it's important to understand like depositing $230 million into his bank account does not make Amari Cooper catch every single pass. Doesn't make DeJuan Jones pick up every single blitz. Doesn't make Andy Dickerson coach this offensive line to pick up stunts better. Like, there are things that, sure, you'd like to see Watson be a superhero over and, rise above these issues. But there are some things where it's like $1 billion or not, like, he can't force the receivers to catch the football. Like, I get the feeling, and at times I too feel the same way. But there are one too many instances of, like, it's not just one drop by Cooper that allows me to say this to cover it all up. Like, yeah, there are moments where Watson definitely needs to be and should be better, but there are far too many examples of everyone else around him is somewhat failing him. And I just keep replaying that one scene in the movie The Longest Yard where the offensive line lets Paul Crewe just get smashed, and then they let him get smashed again. And he's like, all right, are we done with that? It feels like that's happening right now. But it's clearly not at that level. This is not a Hollywood movie. And I sure hope they're not intentionally failing Watson, ruining their next contract in the NFL. Peter Griffin, what's going on? Would you trade Amari Cooper for Kyle Pitts? Two guys that have been discussed in early trade rumors. Quick reminder, the NFL trade deadline is November 5th, so we still are a ways to go. I don't expect to see much movement from any team between now and like October 30th. Like, most of the trades happen following that NFL Sunday before that Tuesday, which I think is a pretty big Tuesday in this country. I don't know why. And that's going to be the window where you see 90% of the trades go down. So when it actually comes to Cooper for Pitts, as you asked, Mr. Griffin, I don't think that improves the Browns. Like, neither player has lived up to expectations early on this season. I don't think trading trash for another team's trash, and I don't want to call these players trash, but like just the trash production, you know what I mean, is going to improve the Browns. So I would probably pass on this. Do the Browns want to recreate their offensive identity? Do they want to go to a two tight end set more? That's what Stefanski did early on. They brought in Dorsey to kind of get away from that. Are they deciding, no, let's get back to that? Let's get to more two tight end personnel groupings? If so, then okay, I can understand acquiring Pitts for that reason, but I would say no to this. It's a fun idea, but it's probably an idea that's going to die on some Bleacher Report article over the next few weeks. All right, we got some other questions coming in here on today's mailbag. Jimmy Hintz, next one up on the show. Stefanski on the hot seat. No, Stefanski received a contract extension before the season began. Anyone that says Stefanski's on the hot seat, I think, is just trying to scrape together a couple of names for their head coaching hot seat article. Excellent gamer. Would you be interested in drafting a wide receiver like Isaiah Bond, QB Cam Ward possibly to sit for a year and watch Watson play? Unless the Browns finish with such a great draft pick, like top 5, I don't think they're going to be reaching for a quarterback. I think Watson is playing at a level right now where we can expect him to gradually improve as he tends to do throughout the year historically. And let's not forget, the guy's under contract for 2 more years beyond this. So I have full belief that Deshaun Watson will be this team's starting quarterback week 1 of 2025. So I think that first-round draft pick is going to be going to supporting Watson, a new left tackle, a new offensive lineman. If I had to bet right now, the Browns' first-round draft pick in 2025 is an offensive lineman. Time Lord, the defense run stopping. I'm not quite sure, Time Lord, exactly what you mean here, but the run defense was, if this were your hinting at atrocious in week 3 against the Raiders, or week 4 against the Raiders. They let the Las Vegas Raiders triple what they averaged through the first 3 weeks of the year. So there are going to be some heads that roll in the film room after that pathetic run-stopping performance against Las Vegas. All right, we have some more questions to get to here on the show. Next question coming in from Stripped It. Why do we see Emerson shadowing opponents' wide receivers ones instead of Ward? Why do we see Emerson shadowing opponents' wide receiver ones instead of Ward? This question was asked to Jim Schwartz after the Malik Neighbors just dominance against the Browns, and he gave a very intelligent answer, which is if you have your number one corner, Denzel Ward, shadow a team's number one wide receiver like Malik Neighbors, you are tipping your hand pre-snap that you are in a man defense, right? Whereas if you keep your left and right corners where they don't switch sides of the field, the opposing team does not know if it is a man defense or a zone defense. The NFL is played at such a high level where games and plays are won on the tiniest of margins, and every single advantage for either the offense or defense could be crucial. And such an advantage like knowing if they are in man because Denzel Ward follows that guy around tips your hand a little bit, and that could be just enough for an offensive coordinator to go, I've got the greatest man beater play out there or a great zone beating play, and we're going to abuse that since the Browns keep tipping their hand. There are pros and cons, of course, to that, though, because if you let Denzel Ward sit on the other side of the field from Malik Neighbors and Martin Emerson gets cooked time and time again, I don't know what battle you're winning if you don't tell them, yeah, we're not a man or zone, but we're going to let you have a touchdown anyway, but you didn't know if we were a man or zone. So what battle are you really winning if you're losing that badly in your initial game plan? So before we get on to the rest of the questions on today's mailbag, today's show was made possible thanks to our friends over at Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Gametime is their all-in pricing option. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Next question coming in via Super Chat from Cardinals Rally. Is Chubb returning this week? He is returning to practice. That does not mean he is a guarantee to play on Sunday against the Commanders. The Browns are opening his practice window, which essentially means he can practice for the next 21 days. After those 21 days are up, the Browns have to make a decision. Place him on the active 53-man roster or put him back on the reserve PUP list, and his 2024 season is done. So, is Chubb returning this week? He is returning to practice. Does not mean he is a guarantee or anywhere near that to play on Sunday against the Commanders. My suspicion is he will practice this week and next week, and then he will play against Philly in, week 6. Cardinals Rally, appreciate your super chat. Kathy, next one up on the show. Do you think we should fire the offensive line coach and defensive line coach? Andy Dickerson and Jaquez Cesar, right? I think I pronounced his last name close enough. Definitely somewhat on my shit list, pardon my French, but starting with Andy Dickerson. The Browns are not executing fundamentals on the offensive line. They're not picking up blitzes. They're not picking up stunts. They are not having the correct assignments. Those are somewhat day one things. So I don't think anyone's going to get fired mid-season. I think the Browns are going to have a little bit of patience, and they're going to give these coaches time to solve the issues and figure it out. We're not going to see them panic too much after just 4 weeks of the season. I mean, the Browns' offensive line, believe it or not, at least from a number standpoint, it has improved from week 1 to week 4. Week 1 against the Cowboys, they gave up 25 pressures. Week 4, they gave up just 3, according to Pro Football Reference. So Well, not great improvements. There are improvements being made. Defensive line coach, again, reevaluate at the end of the season. I don't think either guy's getting fired midseason. Before we get on out of here, Browns or Commanders, let me know in the comment section below. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Commanders have won 3 in a row. But I'm taking the Brownies, baby. They're hungry. They should have been hungry last week, but they got to be starving this week. So, give me the Brownies over the Commanders to keep their season on the line. I smell a Dustin Hopkins walk-off winner. And it's not a pretty game, but a win. And we all go, we have a pulse. We have life. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's mailbag. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, I invite you to go ahead and do so. That way you do not miss a single thing when it comes to your favorite Cleveland Browns.